Good afternoon, one and all. So, myself Rajita, DL in Computer Science from TTWRDC Spark. So, welcome to Gyanadiksha, that is concept based learning. So, today I am going to explain about linear data structure. So, before going to discuss about this linear data structure, so these are the objectives I am covered in this session, that is what is data structure, importance of data structure, real life examples, different linear data structures, basic operations of each data structure, identifying different applications and each data structures. Okay. So, before discussing about linear data structures, so first of all we are going to discuss about data structure. So, first of all what is the data structure? So, in that we have one term, that is what is data. Coming to the data, that is the quantities, characters or symbols on which operations are performed by a computer, so which may be stored and transmitted in the form of electrical signals and recorded on magnetic, optical or mechanical recording media. That is data in the sense basically that is some quantity or some characters or some symbols. So, these are perform some operations, these are used to perform some actions. So, after completion of action it gives some result. Okay. So, here some example is there, that is C equal to A plus B. Here A and B, these are two my data. So, on this data addition is performed. After completion of addition, that addition is stored into this variable C. So, sometimes, so here in this sentence C equal to A plus B, this is very easily we have to understand. Whereas coming to the sometimes data is not understandable to us. That is some data in the form of raw facts only. When data becomes information, that is suppose here some data is there, that is data some interchangeable, that means ununderstandable format is there, that is some collection of letters are there. Okay. So, these collection of letters are processed, so that becomes information. That means in the data some A, H, T like that some collection of letters are there. After processing that one, that is changed into my name is Rajita. That is nothing but that is processed data. So, this processed data is called as information. Okay. Now, if data is arranged in a systematic way, then it gets some structure and become meaningful. So, now, so this is called as information. That means whenever the data is we have to take, that is in the form of raw facts only. We can process it that one. After processing that one, we can give some meaning to that data. That is, it gets some structure and become meaningful. So, that is nothing but information. That is, this meaningful or processed data is called as information. Okay. To provide an appropriate way to structure the data, we need to know about data structure. That means how we have to process that data. So, how the meaningful information we get. So, that we discuss about data structures. So, now we are going to data structures. So, here data structure is a systematic way to organize data so that it can be used efficiently. That means whenever we can process some data, so that means we had to give some meaning to that data, it gives some information. So, that is nothing but how the process is done, that is for that we had to follow some data structure. So, data structure is the systematic way to organize the data so that it can be used efficiently. So, efficiently in the sense I mean that time or space, efficiency in the form of time or efficiency in the form of space based on the user requirement. So, our data is selected. So, here one example is there, that is arrays concept. Here instead of creating multiple variables, that means array is nothing but it is a one type of data structure. Here similar data elements or homogeneous elements are stored. While storing these homogeneous elements, these are stored in some linear way, that means a sequential way. Suppose I want to store some 100 students rule numbers. In that situation, it is a difficult task to me to create 100 variables. Instead of creating 100 variables or multiple variables, I am to create only one variable. That variable is used to handle all these 100 values in single data structure. That is, instead of creating multiple variables, why not I am creating this multiple number of variables. So, in that case only I am creating one variable, that variable can handle the capability of to store all these 100 data elements or rule numbers of students. So, that arrays are used. And coming to the another example, storing strings, that means string is nothing but character array. So, here, so to store some string, name of the student, in that case instead of creating each and every character variable, so instead of that just creating some string variable, so here also some arrays concept is used. Okay. So, some real life examples are there for data structures. So, did you know that one thing, stack data structure is used in implementing redo and undo features, isn't it? Suppose coming to Google Docs or Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, so whenever we can do any mistakes. So, in some certain situations we can require previous changes, previous things. So, in that case we can use Control Z. So, whenever we are using this Control Z operation, so Control Z, so in that situation whatever the sentence, for example suppose here while I am typing linear data structure, suppose I am missing this or, so like this here these are stored. So, suppose here linear is first stores and data is next here, and instead of that here some like this. So, here R is missed. So, that I am doing some changes, for that Control Z is pressed. Once this Control Z, so this is the undo stack, and once this Control Z, this is stores this value, this sentence, that is this is stores into here. This is what redo stack. This is what the redo stack. Suppose after changes, that means structure, now here it stores as a correct spelling. Now this is removed. Suppose whenever again you have to redone this operation by using Control Y. So, this is placed on the top or here, that is nothing but, do you know that is in undo and redo features we are using stack operation. And coming to, suppose whenever we had to store any bitmap image, in that case it use some arrays concept, that is which data structure is used to store image as an bitmap. So, in that case it use the arrays, that is in the arrays concept we need, we know about two-dimensional array. So, in the two-dimensional array, suppose you have to take that screen of the screen of the computer. So, number of pixels are there. All these are called as tiny some pixels. So, these pixels contain some tiny data. So, this tiny data is assigned with some color. This is assigned with some color in some specifying format, so that that particular picture is displayed on the monitor. That means for the bitmap images some other data structures are used, that is arrays concept. So, coming to the another example for data structure, storing the friends information on a social networking site. For example, if you are take Facebook. So, in the Facebook, suppose if you are take the Facebook, this is a social social networking site. Here suppose X is some person. So, this person Y is some other person. So, both of these two friends both of these two persons are friends, and Z is some other person. This is also some other friend to this X. Suppose here another W is another person. So, he is friend to this Z and Y. So, there is no relationship, there is no friendship among these two, between these two persons X and W. So, this type of data structure is called as graph. That means, so in real life also we are using these data structures. So, now we have to discuss about what is the formal definition of a data structure. So, here a data structure is the organization of the data in a way so that it can be used efficiently. That means, data structure is the organization of the data. That means, whatever the data we had to store in computer, that is stored in the form of some organized way, so that we are using that data in efficiently. That means, efficiently in the sense based on the time and based on the space. Some of the users use the data structure select that means in the form of time and in the form of space. So, let me discuss that later. So, now discuss this a data structure is used to implement an ADT. So, coming to the ADT is nothing but this is abstract data type. What is the abstract data type? Nothing but here abstract data type is a user defined data type, So this user defined data type contains some operations. These operations are performed on some values. So those are without specifying the functionality. So what functionality is done inside the function or inside the method. So that is called as abstract data type. That means abstract data type is given some operations and some values. So these operations are performed on particular values. So those operation, how those operations are implemented, that is not known by the clients or users. That is nothing but abstract data type. Nothing but here abstract data type tells us what is to be done and data structure tells us how to do it. That means abstract data type gives how the operations are performed on the values, whereas data structure how those operations are used. So this is what the concept. That is a data structure. That means whenever we have to implement any data structure, compulsory whenever we are using data structure, we can use some ADTs. So to implement data structure, we are using ADTs. Okay. So for these different data structures, that means how to know which data structure to use for a particular ADT. So which different data structures are there. So for these different data structures, for implementing or using different data structures, which type of ADT can use it. So that is depends on this. That means which data structure is used or for which ADT. That means in reality different implementations of ADTs are there. So these are compared for time and space complexity. The one best suited according to the current requirement of the user will be selected. So for example, stack ADT can be implemented using arrays as well as in the linked list. And that is stack ADT or stack data structure can be implemented using arrays data structure or linked list data structure. So and that means different data structures are implemented by using different ADTs. How we have to select that ADT? So based on our requirement. So that requirement is based on here time and space. Sometimes user requirement is based on time, sometimes user requirement is based on space. So for example, suppose while implementing stack ADT, the user can use the arrays data structure. In that case, the user focus is on the time. That means speed retrieval is there. So whereas coming to the linked list, space retrieval, that means minimum amount of time minimum amount of space is used by using linked list concept to implement the stack. Whereas coming to the arrays concept, maximum space is required and retrieval time is very small. And these are the advantage of data structures. Okay, these advantages are efficiency, reusability, abstraction. So coming to the efficiency, that means proper choice of data structure make program efficient in terms of space and time. So till now I can told that one thing about that is the data structure selection is based on the efficiency, that means space and time. Some users focus on time, in that case they can use arrays, and some users focus on space. In that situation the users can use another type of data structures, that is linked list concept. So coming to the reusability, one implementation can be used by multiple clients. That means once the implementation, that means once we can implement any ADT, that is used by multiple clients. So reusability is also provided through this data structures. Once the data structure is implemented by using any purpose, so that is used different clients. And coming to the abstraction concept, so data structure is specified by an ADT, that is abstract data type, so which provides a level of abstraction, means implementation details are not provided to the user, only how that things, whatever the implementations or whatever the operations are given inside, those are used by the client, but the client doesn't know about how those are implemented. That is what, how to use. So whenever we can buy any car, just if that person knows about how to drive, so that the person can drive that car. So whereas coming to internal implementation of the car, so that is not bother about the client, just client intention is how to drive, so how to implement is not interested. So this is what the abstraction concept. So this type of abstraction is also provided through this data structures. So this is what the advantages and importance as well as a definition of data structures. So now we are moved to types of data structures. So here data structures are majorly divided into two types, primitive data structures and non-primitive data structures. So these primitive data structures already we are discussed in C and CPP in basic programming, that is integer, float, like that. Whereas coming to the non-primitive data structures, linear and non-linear data structures. So in this here we are discussed about the linear data structures. Again these linear data structures are divided into two types, static and dynamic. Again this static array comes under static data structure, linked list, stack and queues, these three are the other data structures are comes under dynamic data structures. So now we are discussed about these data structures, types of data structures in okay. Next, so here these are the linear data structures. A linear data structure, that is here a linear data structure nothing but, that is the name itself contains a linear, means when all the elements are arranged in a linear order or sequential order. Means suppose I have to take this example. So this is what array. So in the array elements are stored in sequential order, that means so except first element and last element, remaining all elements have compulsory one predecessor, that is suppose I have to take the element in the second index, so it have only one predecessor and one successor. So except first and last, so this first does not have any predecessor and coming to the last does not have any successor. So these all are the indexes. In the 9th index whatever the element is there, that does not have any successor, and first index have some value that does not have any predecessor. So this is what the linear fashion or sequential order, we have to place data in queue in linear fashion, that is why queue comes under linear data structure. Whereas another one, stack, this is an example for stack. Here the elements are stored like this. Here in this case also only you have to take one element except first and last, one predecessor and one successor is there. Okay, this is array and this is stack and this is queue. So in this queue also one predecessor and one successor, there is no predecessor for first and successor for last one. This is the first element and this is the last element. And coming to the linked list, so here also had to take other than first and last, only one predecessor and one successors are there. So this is linear data structures. These are the four different types of linear data structures. And next, this is what the non-linear data structures. A data structure is non-linear when all the elements are not arranged in a linear order. Completely opposite, that is in the previous case elements are arranged in linear order, here there is no linear order, that means only one predecessor and only one successor concept is not there. So that means any number of predecessors and any number of successors are there. So this is here two types are there, one is a tree and other one is a graph. So coming to the tree, suppose I have to take this B, it have one predecessor and two successors. Like that, sometimes suppose I have to take here in E, here this D and F are the successors and there is no like that D and E are the successors. Sometimes this is what predecessors. So sometimes predecessors it look like a predecessor for other one, sometimes it looks like a successor for other ones. So this is what about the graph concept. Okay. Next. So instead of that linear and non-linear data structures, again these linear data structures are divided into two types, that is the static data structure and dynamic data structures. So static data structure in the sense the memory allocated at compile time itself, that means whenever you can write any program or you had to create any static data structure, so initially you had to specify how much of memory is required for that data structure or for that array. Suppose for example we are using the arrays, so array comes under static data structure. Whenever we are declared array, so first whenever we are using array in our program, so first of all we have to specify the size of the array, means how much of size or how many elements are stored inside the array. Okay, so therefore maximum size is fixed, that means maximum size is fixed before execution, that means the size of the data structure is decided at compile time. That means the memory allocation is done at compile time. So using this, some advantage is there and some disadvantage is also there. Coming to the advantage, fast access, because the storage is known compile time, and so that automatically the memory locations are specified before. So through that array index we can access this very fast. Because of this reason only we have to say that if user requirement is based on time, in that case arrays are used. Efficiency is focused on time, in that case user can use the arrays data structures. Okay. And coming to the disadvantage, slower insertion and deletion. That means suppose I have to delete element, suppose if the array size is 100, that means insertion and deletions are based on index. So first of all it searches the index and after that it can insert it. And coming to the dynamic data structure, in these type of data structures the memory is allocated at runtime, therefore maximum size is flexible. So that means in the runtime only you have to grown or shrink your data structure. So that is possible in dynamic data structures. So example for dynamic data structure is linked list. So here faster insertion and deletions are there, so but slower access is there. So accessing is slower. So this is the disadvantage. Okay. Next. So these all are some real life examples of different data structures to store. Just now I can discuss about this undo and redo operations. To evaluate an expression, that is suppose a plus b is some expression. So this how this expression is evaluated, for that stack data structure is used. So in first one stack data structure is only, and to store the friendship information in a social networking site, again data structure used, that is stack data structure. To store bitmap image, again some data structure is used, that is arrays data structure. To implement the printer spooler, so that jobs can be printed in order of the their arrival. That means whenever user gives any request for printing, so like that number of users or number of clients are given request to the printer, so which one is first processed, so which one came to the first, that is first processed. For that printer is also used some data structure, that is queues. And to implement back functionality in the internet browser, whenever you can use any back page, so in that case some data structures are used. And to store the possible moves in a chess game, also we are using some data structures. So different real life examples in data structures. So next we can discuss about one by one in detail all these 4 data structures. These 4 data structures are called as linear data structure because the data elements are stored in linear fashion or sequential fashion. That's why these are called as linear data structure. These all 4 have one successor and one predecessor except first and last elements. First we can discuss about the arrays concept. So here an array is a finite ordered collection of homogeneous data elements, so which provides a direct access to any its elements. That means random access is possible here by using some index. So here array is nothing but it contains finite ordered collection. Finite ordered collection means fixed. That means first of all we have to specify the size of array, that means finite ordered collection of homogeneous elements. Next, whenever we can retrieve homogeneous in the sense similar data elements, that means suppose you can store the student roll numbers or hall ticket numbers. In that situation all those 100 students hall ticket numbers are same data type, that is a homogeneous data elements. And random accessing also possible, that direct access or random access. Direct access or random access in the sense whatever the ID you can retrieve, so directly you can access, that is possible through this index. That is an array as a data structure is defined as a set of pairs, that is index and value, such that each index is a value is associated. That means every index is associated with one value. Here index nothing but it indicates the location of an element in an array where that particular element is stored in the array, that is retrieved through this index. And coming to the value, on that particular index what data is stored, that is the index indicates value indicates the actual value of the data element. This actual value of the data is stored in particular index. Okay. So in CPP index is declared like this. data type, and this is a variable name, and this is array dash a is a variable name and subscript operator in that 20, that is here array size is 20, and elements are stored in this array by using indexes 0 to 19, so that 20 elements are stored here. And these all are the basic operations on arrays, that means traversing, searching, insertion, deletion. Coming to the traversing, it is used to access each data item exactly once so that it can be processed. So exactly once we can retrieve one element, that is called as traversing concept. And coming to the searching, it is used to find out the location of the data item if it exists the given collection of data items. Suppose for example in array 20 elements are there, suppose you can search some particular element is present in that found in that array or not, that is nothing but searching concept. So if that element is present in that collection of data items, it returns that position or index. So otherwise the element is not found. And insertion and deletion, so these are nothing but it is used to add a new data element in the given collection of data items, that means some number of collection of data items are there. So in that again you have to store another data by using insertion concept. Coming to the deletion concept, you can delete some particular element from particular index, so that is also possible by using deletion operation. So here array, coming to the different types of arrays, here some 3 different types of arrays are there. Those are single dimensional array, 2-dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. So how we have to identify whether that is a single dimensional, 2-dimensional or multi-dimensional, based on subscript. So in the here some subscript, this is nothing but subscript, that means within this subscript some 20 is there. So if it is a single one, it is what? Single dimensional, that means data is stored in only one dimension. Okay, whereas coming to 2 dimensions, that is array with 2 dimensions, that means that contains rows and columns, means matrices, and multi-dimensional, multiple subscripts. These are the advantage of arrays. So these arrays are used to represent multiple data items of same type by using single name. So using single name, that is in the previous case here array of A, so this is some variable name. So using this single name we have to store 20 integer type of elements. Okay, for that this is one of the advantage. And coming to it can be used to implement other data structures when the user requirement is based on time. In that case arrays are used, that is the retrieving is very fast, linked list, stacks, queues, trees, graphs. So these are these data structures or these ADTs are implemented by using arrays also. 2-dimensional arrays are used to represent matrices. Okay, so these matrices are how the matrices are represented. For that we require some arrays concept, that is a 2-dimensional arrays concept. Next, many databases includes 1-dimensional arrays whose elements are records. So we have to retrieve the records, so that we are using 1-dimensional arrays. So coming to the disadvantages, these all are the disadvantages. So we must know the how many elements are to be stored in array. So that before executing your application, you must know how much of element, that means what is the size of array, you must know, that is what. So that what is the disadvantage? So suppose sometimes I am declared some array with 100 memory locations. Suppose instead of 100 memory locations, just I can use only 10 memory locations, 10 positions, so that remaining 90 are wasted. So automatically that much of memory is also wasted. That is if the integer variable, every integer takes the 2 bytes. If it is 100 locations, that means 200 bytes are occupied that array. So instead of 200 bytes, just I am stored only 10 data elements into that array. So only 20 bytes are used, remaining 180 bytes are wasted. So this is one of the disadvantage. And coming to the another one, that is array is static structure. It means that array of fixed size. So we cannot increase it or decrease it the size of the array. So that is what. And array is fixed size. If we allocate more memory than requirement, so then the memory space will be wasted. So just now only I can give the explanation for this disadvantage. That is if you are declared array with 100 data elements, suppose you have to store only 10 elements, remaining 180 memory size is wasted. So the elements of array are stored in consecutive memory locations. So insertions and deletions are takes time consuming process, retrieving only fast. And coming to the another data structure, stacks. So a stack is a list of elements in which an element may be inserted or deleted only at one end. That means top of the stack. So insertions and deletions are possible at top of the stack. So that is nothing but stack only. Here the elements are removed from a stack in the reverse order of that in which they were inserted into the stack. So whatever the order we had to insert it, those are removed from the stack in reverse order. That's why this stack is called as last in first out. That is, recently inserted element is removed from first. That is, here this is the stack. Okay. So this is the bottom and this is the top. So initially we have stored elements here, after that here, and after that here. That means every time the element is inserted at top only and the element is removed from the top only. That's why this is called as last in first out. That means top element is removed first, in the sense top element is inserted at element is inserted at top position, means recently inserted element is removed first. That's why this data structure is also called as last in first out or first in last out. That means this element is inserted first, it is removed from this stack last. That's why first in last out or last in first out. And this also called as push down list. Push down means I have to push the elements into down. That means every time we can push the element top. That's why every time this goes to down locations. That's why this is called as a push down list. Next, this stack can be implemented in two ways, by using arrays concept or by using pointers concept. Suppose if we are using arrays for implementing this stack, here this is called as a static implementation. That means stack is implemented by using arrays, that is called as a static implementation. By using pointers, this is called as a dynamic implementation. Suppose here this is one stack. So these all are the memory locations. So here first this is stored and next this one, that is for example, suppose if it is the 203 location, next 204, next 205, like that memory locations, this is stored in the memory location. So here this is the array representation, using arrays how the stack is implemented. So this is what the stack. So here the elements, here this is the bottom, this is the top. Here this is I, memory location I plus 1, I plus 2, like that elements are stored here. This is the top element. That means whenever you have to insert any element, that is stored into this. So suppose for example this same concept is implemented through this pointers. So pointer in the sense, so this pointers specifies the address of another element, where that element is stored, that address is stored into here. So this is what dynamic implementation. Here this is the static implementation, this is a dynamic implementation. In the static implementation, memory size is fixed, that means array size is fixed, or how many elements are contained in the stack is fixed, whereas here this is not fixed. So anytime you can increase that size of the stack or decrease that size of the stack. So because this is a dynamic implementation. These all are the basic operations of stack. So here this is what stack is, it creates a new stack is that is empty, and next push, some item is pushed. So this item is pushed to the top of the stack, and coming to the pop, it removes the top item from the stack. Peek nothing but it returns the top item from the stack but does not remove it. That means what is the difference between this pop and peek? So pop removes, that means completely the top element removes from the removes from the stack, whereas peek, it returns the top item from the stack but does not remove. So pop is removes, peek is not removes, just returns. Is empty, it sets whether the stack is empty or not. And coming to the is full, so it tests whether the stack is full or not. And coming to the size, it returns how many number of elements or how many number of items are present in the stack. So these all are called as, what are the different types of operations in the stack. Then next, two conditions are there, stack conditions. These are called as stack conditions. depending upon these stack conditions only we have to insert the elements, or we can done the push operation or pop operation. That means when the push operation is possible, when the pop operation is possible. So when if any memory is available, that means room is available or stack is empty, then push operation is possible. That means, so suppose you had to take this example. So this is full, stack is full. Suppose I am trying to enter some element or push some element into this top position. Now there is no empty space. That's why it returns overflow error. So if the stack is full, it returns overflow error. In that situation, we are unable to enter any elements onto this top or this stack. Whereas coming to the underflow error, suppose this is the stack, this stack is empty, there is no elements in this, or there is no data items in this stack. Suppose I am trying to done any pop operation, means remove some element from this stack. So this stack is empty. So in that situation, deletion is not possible. Here it gives error as underflow error. So before inserting and or before done the push operation, first of all you have to check whether the overflow error occurred or not. If there is no overflow error, then we have to capable or we are able to insert some elements. Suppose if it is underflow, there is no chance for pop operation. Okay, and this is what the push operation. Here the process of adding one element to the stack is called as push operation. Suppose here one element is pushed, that is the top. First this is the top, then next push another element push B. Now this is pushed here. Next another element push C. This is also pushed on the top of the position. That means every time the new element is added topmost position of the stack. So this is possible overflow. For these push operations, every time we can check overflow state. That means if there is no overflow error, there is a possibility for push operation. Otherwise, we are not insert any elements into this stack. And coming to the pop operation, the process of deleting one element or item from the stack is represented by the operation called as pop operation. Means from the top had to remove some element, that is called as pop operation. So this pop operation, so every time one pop operation, automatically that stack is strings so to empty stack. That means it strings at same end. That is here C is first removed or popped, next B, next A. After that this is empty stack. This is what pseudocode how to done the push operation and pop operations. So here 4 in the push method or push procedure, 4 items are arguments are passed here. One is the stack, another one is the tap, and next maximum and size and item. So here first it checks if top equal to maximum size, then it returns of overflow. Okay, if it is equal to top, that means top is equal to maximum size, there is no room, there is no space in the stack, so we are not entered any element into the top. So otherwise we can enter some element into this top, so that increment this top plus 1. Next set this item into that top position. Okay, coming to the pop operation. Here this procedure takes 3 arguments, stack, top and item. So this procedure deletes the top element of stack and assigns it into the variable item. That is, if top equal to 0 means underflow error, stack is empty, there is no possibility for pop. So if top is not equal to 0, then first set the top element into item, and after the top is decremented by 1, otherwise decrease it by 1. Then that element is removed from the stack. So this is what the pop operation and push operation. Now these all are the applications of stack. That is we know already it is used to reverse word. That means suppose if you store the elements in a stack, so whenever we can apply any pop operation, so recently inserted one is removed first, so that number of characters are pushed onto this stack. So after that pop operation, those are displayed in reverse order. That's why for reverse word we are using this stack. Undo and redo operation, just now only I can discuss this undo and redo operation. And coming to the backtracking operation, we are using this stack. Parenthesis balancing, that means if any expression is there, parentheses are balanced or not, that is also checked by using this stack. And conversion of decimal number into binary number, That means whatever the number system we are using, that is a decimal system. So the system can understand that is in the form of binary. So how that is converted, any number is converted into binary, that is in the form of stack only. For that, stack data structure is used. So to solve the towers of Hanai problem, and conversion of infix expression into postfix or prefix expression. That means if a plus b, that is a infix expression, ab plus, that is a postfix expression, first operator, that is plus ab, after that operands, that is a postfix expression. All these that means infix expression can convert into postfix or prefix. That is also possible by using this stack. Runtime memory management. Next, evaluation of postfix expression, that is a plus, a b plus, that is a postfix expression. How this postfix expression is evaluated, that is also done through this stack, because using push operations and pop operation. First operator is operand is pushed into the stack, next another operand. After that, if any case operator is there, automatically pop operation is occurred. That means a plus b. Recursion application, that means recursion is also implemented through this stack. And one of the algorithm, so this is a depth first search algorithm, this is used in graphs. So this algorithm is used to visit some particular particular node or particular destination something. In that case, depth first search algorithm used. So this algorithm use some stack data structure. So this is one of the question comes in competitive exams. So which type of data structure is used for depth first search algorithm? Okay, so these are some real life examples. Suppose in the cafeteria some plates are like, so recently inserted one, picked out first. So coming to the shirts, so recently the top one is first removed. So these all are the examples for real life examples for stack. And coming to the queue, so this is what the queue. So here a queue is a data structure where the items are inserted at one end called rear and removed element from other end called front. Okay, so insertion is possible at one end and deletion is possible at other end. So insertion is possible at end of the queue and deletion is possible at front of the queue. That's that means first element is removed. Whatever the element is first inserted, that is removed first, and whatever the element is inserted last, that is removed last. That's why this data structure is also called as first in first out or last in first out. So in the queue only two operations are allowed, those are NQ and DQ operations. NQ means inserting the element at end of the queue, that is called as NQ operation. And coming to the DQ operation means DQ nothing but delete the element from the front, that is called as DQ operation. So in maximum cases, railway reservation system or any that means in the toll plaza, so all these situations we are using queue operation. Okay. So again this queue is also implemented in two ways, that is a static implementation nothing but by using arrays concept, dynamic implementation by using pointers concept. So here this is a static implementation, this is a dynamic implementation. Okay. So initially front equal to -1 and rear equal to -1, initially this is a empty stack. So here some elements are stored here, front 0 and rear 0, means here one element is stored. After that every time one element is inserted here, rear is incremented by 1. So this is next, this is next. After that here whenever you have to insert the element here, now this position 4 plus 1, now the possibility is here we are insert the element. This operation is called as NQ operation. And suppose you have to remove the elements, so for that front equal to 2 nothing but these two elements are removed, 0th position and 1 position elements are removed, and our front is 2. So this is the queue representation. So here this is the linked list representation. Front represent first and rear represent last. Next, these are the queue operations. Queue nothing but it creates a new queue, that is empty, and NQ just now only we can discuss this. It adds a new element, new item to the rear of the queue. Nothing but rear in the sense end of the queue. DQ nothing but it removes the front item from the queue. That means first element is removed. Is empty, nothing but it checks whether the queue is empty or not. So in these cases also, if the queue is empty only, we can insert the elements. NQ is possible. If queue is full, NQ is not possible. Okay. And coming to the DQ operation, if queue is empty, there is no DQ operation. It is not possible. Okay. And size, it returns the size of number of items in the queue. How many number of items are in this queue, that is returned by this. And this is what pseudo code for this. If rear equal to n minus 1. Okay. Here NQ operation again it stores the queue, empty stack, empty queue, rear, front and item. So here queue is a array with n elements, front is a front position, first position, and there is a last position, and item is nothing but whatever the element is inserted into this queue. And it checks array equal to n minus 1 means overflow, check overflow, that means whether the queue is full or not. If it is empty, there is a chance to enter any elements, then it can enter. That means if array equal to n minus 1, it checks overflow, that means queue is overflow, and end. So if front equal to null, then check whether the queue is empty. So in this case, if front equal to null only, we can enter in items into that queue. Front equal to minus 1 and rear equal to minus 1, nothing but null. So then next, if front equal to minus 1, rear equal to minus 1, nothing but queue is empty. So there is a chance we can enter. Now the rear equal to rear plus 1. So in the rear item is stored. Okay, this is the enqueue operation. And coming to the queue operation, again it also takes the 4 arguments: queue, rear, front, and item. So here first it checks whether the queue is empty. So if front equal to none, queue is empty. There is no element is there in the queue. So that's why the queue is not there. And coming to the item equal to queue of front. So front item is stored into this item. That means queue is not empty. The front value is whatever the front positions element is there, that is stored into this item. Now now that item is removed. In that case, if there is no front and rear, only one element is there. So in that case, front and rear both are same. Now front equal to null and rear equal to null. So in this case, queue is empty. Otherwise, front is incremented by 1, means first position element is removed. So these are the applications of queue. It is used to schedule the jobs to be processed by the CPU. Okay, that means in CPU how the programs are executed. So whatever the program comes into the RAM, so that is executed first. So which one is enter into the RAM first, that is executed first. So in that case, queue operation is used. So when multiple users send some request to the printer, so which one is first processed? So which request comes from the user first, that is processed first. So that first in first out. So again, breadth first search algorithm. So this algorithm is also used to visit some particular element. For that, queue operation is used. This is also one of the question comes in competitive exams. Okay, depth first search is used stack, and breadth first search is used queue. And these are the real life examples. That means a queue of people at a ticket window, vehicle on toll tax, phone answering system, luggage checking machines. So these all are some queue real life examples. Now, so this is images. These all are the images in the library. So which person first? So that person that means this librarian gives books to this person first. So this is waiting for bus. Okay, and this is at toll plaza. So like that, these all are the images for queue. And next, so in queue, 3 different types of queues are there. One is a circular queue, other one is a D queue, and next one is a priority queue. Coming to the circular queue, the circular queue is one in which the insertions of new element is done at very first location of the queue if the last location of the queue is full. Suppose if the last location of the queue is full in the normal queue, there is no further insertions. Whereas in circular queue, so if queue is full, again the element is stored at first position. So using the circular queue, one advantage is there. If any of the locations are empty in this circular queue, so there is a possibility we have to insert the elements into circular queue. In normal queue, this is not possible, because once the queue is full, means that rear reaches to maximum, so there is no possible to enter the element into this normal queue. Whereas in circular queue, it is possible. Suppose if we have a queue of n elements, then after adding the element at the last index, that is n minus 1, as queue is starting with 0 index, again starts with 0 index, the next element will be inserted at very first location of the queue, which was not possible in the linear simple linear queue. In case of linear queue, the rear is maximum minus 1, then queue is considered to be full. Whereas in circular queue, again the insertion is possible at 0th position. So even though some memory locations are vacant at beginning, still we cannot use the linear queue, whereas we are using in circular queue. So this drawback is overcome by using circular queues. That means if any empty positions are there in simple linear queue, we are unable to insert if the ray reaches to maximum position. So, this drawback is overcome by using circular queues. Next, these are the three are the operations: insertion circular queue, deletion circular queue, traverse circular queue. So, insertion an element into a circular queue using this condition, that is here ray equal to ray plus 1 modulo max. That means, if maximum size is 10, initially ray equal to minus 1 plus 1 mod max means ray equal to 0, 0 mod max 0. So, initially it stores into 0th position and ray is incremented by 1. After that, if ray reaches to maximum, that is 10, that is maximum size in the sense 9, that is 10 elements, that means index starts from 0. So, that 9 plus 1 10, 10 mod max value is 10, 10 mod 10 means it returns 0. So, again starts from 0th. So, coming to the deletions, so front plus 1, that means front element is removed first and next front is incremented after deletion. So, traverse, displaying the element of a circular queue, that is nothing but traverse operation. So, when we say that the queue is empty, so if front equal to rear equal to 0, then we can say that circular queue is empty. So, this is what the how circular queue representation using arrays. So, here the array size is circular queue size is 6, 0, initially queue is empty. So, maximum size is 6 and front equal to rear equal to initially 0 means empty. Now, count equal to 0. So, here I am trying to insert some elements 11, 22, 33, 44 and 55. So, one element, one position is left over here. So, in this situation front equal to 0 and rear equal to 4 and here rear equal to 5, this is a 5. So, here again suppose there is a chance for inserting element into here. Suppose coming to this, now delete two elements 11 and 22 from here, 11 and 22 are removed. Now, this is the front. So, now front equal to 2, this is what 0, this is 1, now front equal to 2 and rear equal to 5. Again you can insert the elements here, that is here I am trying to insert some element 66 in the rear. So, after that this rear value is reaches to maximum, but this is a circular queue, there is a possibility again we can do some insertion operations at these positions. That means, now we can insert the elements from 0th position. Okay. Next, so this is what the another queue, that is a D queue. It is a special queue like data structure, special data structure. Here the insertions and deletions are at both front and rear. That means, in the both the cases we can insert as well as we can done the deletions. So, in a linear simple queue, deletion is at one end and insertions are other end. This is what the difference between the D queue and normal queue. In D queue, we can insert and delete both ends. Deletions and insertions are possible at both the ends. That means, such an extension of queue is called, that is why this is called as double-ended queue. Both the sides we can insert and we can do the deletions. Okay. So, that is why this is called as a DEQ, to avoid the confusion, DQ operation. So, this is called as a DEQE. So, DQ operation means remove the element from the queue. So, to avoid the confusion, this is also called as a DEQ or DQ, abbreviation is DQ, and this is also called as head tail linked list. Now, see here this is what an example. Here initially 11 and 22 are the elements. So, here NQ front, this is a operation in DQ. So, front element is inserted at front side. So, NQ rear 44 element is inserted at rear. So, now DQ operation front, that means remove the element from the front, that is the front element is 33, the 33 is removed. DQ rear 44, that means this 44 removed from rear. So, here 44 is removed. Now, 11 and 22 is there. Again NQ operation front, that means 55 is inserted at front. Okay. So, these all are the, again these DQ are two types, input restricted queue and output restricted queue. Coming to the input restricted queue, input restricted DQ is a DQ which allows insertion at only one end. Coming to the deletions are possible at both the ends. That means, here input restricted queue means you can insert here or here, but both the sides are not possible. Okay, but in deletions are possible at both sides, that is called as input restricted queue. And coming to the output restricted queue, means an output restricted DQ is a DQ which allows deletions at one end but allows insertions at both ends. That means, here deletions at only one end. That means, Here deletion is possible either this side or this side, but not both sides, but insertions are possible at front or rear. So this is called as DQ operation. Next, priority queue. This is the another type of queue. A priority queue is a collection of elements that each element has been assigned a priority. So each and every element is assigned with priority. Based on the priority, the element is inserted in the queue or deleted from the queue. So for that, higher priority is processed first and lower priority is processed next. So these type of priority queues again used in scheduling the jobs, that means which job is first executed. So even though in queue which one is first, that is processed first, but in priority queue, suppose sometimes some job has the highest priority, so but that comes later, so but that is also processed by using this priority queues. So next, another data structure, this is a linked list or list. So here a linked list can be defined as a collection of variables, number of data items called nodes. That means linked list in the sense or simply list, it is a collection of variable number of data items. It contains some collection of variable number of data items called as nodes. So here lists are the most commonly used non-primitive data structure. So this list is nothing but only dynamic data implementation. Dynamic implementation means by using pointers only this is implemented. So here this list contains number of nodes. Each and every node has two parts. One is the information part and other one is the address part. That is, the first part contains the information of the element, that means whatever the data you have to store. So which data you have to store, that is stores in the first part, and coming to the next part, so it part contains the memory address of the next node. It point out the next node's address where that is stored. Okay, this is also called as link part. So what is the difference between here? In array, that is stored in a specified location, whereas coming to here array in this linked list concept, this first element is linked with the next one. So this first element gives the information as well as address of next element where that is stored or next node. Okay, and these are the advantage. Sorry, this is what linked list. This is a dynamic data structure, a data structure that can shrink or grow during program execution. That's why this is a dynamic data structure. Okay, the size of data structure is not necessarily known at compile time. So that we know we are increasing the size of data structure at execution time as well as deletion also possible at that means increasing, that means we are not fixed the size, so that we can increase it runtime also, and efficient insertions and deletions of elements. Okay, next, the data in a dynamic data structure can be stored in non-contiguous locations. So in arrays, those are stored in contiguous memory locations. So this is linked list is one of the example for dynamic data structure. So these all are the advantages. That means unused locations in array is often a wastage of space. Okay, in arrays some unused spaces are there, whereas in linked list there is no unused spaces, and create nodes when they are required and delete nodes when they are not required. So we don't have to know about advanced what is the size of the list. So these are the applications, that is polynomial operations, that means polynomial additions, polynomial multiplications are possible, subtractions are possible by using linked list. Using this linked list we can store the large data, large number additions, subtractions is also possible. By using this linked list, stacks, queues and trees, graphs are implemented, and symbol table is also implement. This is used in compiler, so this is also possible by using linked list. And these all are the operations, that is creation, insertion, traversing, searching, concatenation. Creation nothing but creating the empty string, and insertions and deletions. So anywhere you can insert the element from front at the front, last or middle of the list or specified location. So traversing, every element is traversed from the list, and coming to the searching is also possible. Here particular element is searched, and concatenation, two lists are concatenated. Okay, and these are the types: single linked list, circular linked list and double linked list, circular double ended linked list. Okay, single linked list, so begins with a pointer to the first node and terminate with a null pointer, whereas circular linked list, pointer of the last node points to the first node. And coming to the double linked list, 2 pointers are there. One is the previous and other one is the next. So here each node has forward pointer or backward pointer. So allows the traverses both directions, forward direction or backward direction. Traversing is possible in both the directions. Whereas circular double linked list, forward pointer of the last node points to the first node. Forward pointer of the last node points to the first node, and backward pointer of the first node points to the last node. Okay. So this is whatever we have discussed different types. Okay. This is a single linked list. Okay. This is what the double linked list. Next. Okay, this is here. This is single circular linked list. This last one is point to the first one, and this is the double both directions are there. And here this is the circular linked list. Last one is points to here, and this first one is point to last one's forward pointer. Next, so these are the some previous questions, competitive exams like this. Suppose this like this. Some push operations are like this. They can give. Had to find out. So after which way this processed. And next, this is another question, that is in which data elements are inserted at one end and deleted at another end. So for that we are using queue operation, and identify one is not the application of stack. Okay, so these are the questions like. Okay, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.